and a couple of other helpful instruments there so that something happens, you do not get stuck. You can get out of it. So that is not wanting or not planning for an emergency, but being prepared for it. It's easier to give examples in case of a ship as to emergency, what kind of emergencies can occur. So fire, most common one, can occur anytime. Collision, grounding, water seepage into the hold. Yeah, the sea has got unlimited amount of water for any of you to handle. So long as it is outside the ship, no problem. If it starts entering the ship, it can fill up the ship in no time. So seepage into the hole is simply means, very small leak. But I'm sure all of you have seen Titanic, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the engineers here and even the deck cadets here will be able to appreciate that for the volume of the ship, it will take some time for the water to fill up. Plus, there are compartments, so divisions. Yeah. So it takes time, and therefore Titanic also took a few hours, and same thing will happen with other ships. That in case water starts filling in, it will not be an instantaneous or a momentous thing. Of course, collision, grounding, foundering, where the ship plunges into the water for some reason, loses stability and capsizes. Those are other things where some calculation or some people have made mistake. And the whole idea of your training is that you should not make mistakes. And yet, emergencies will happen, and your good seamanship techniques, good knowledge, understanding will always bring the ship out. Whether it is now or later or any exam, trust me, your answers should cover from the time emergency was noted, and it should always end in emergency brought under control, situation back to normal, and voyage resumed. Okay, so you come back to normal situation. In between, all these things can be handled. And that is where, for known emergencies, all ships should have procedures ready for immediate implementation. So you will have procedure written what to do in case of an oil flow, a pump room flooding for your ship. Okay, it will be ship specific. It will be generic when we are learning here in the classroom at the institute. But when you go on the ship, these procedures will be according to your ship. Fairly common, the basic principles will not change. But yes, the division of the ship, the location of the tanks, what they carry, that can be different. And that is where handling of emergencies on each ships become different. So, emergency planning. Basically, all ships will have equipment which is complying with the SOLAS regulations. Firefighting equipment, life-saving equipment, yeah, boats, life rafts, fire hoses, breathing apparatus. All that is part of ship's equipment. And your role will be to see that the equipment is ready for use and you are trained. You means everybody on the ship is trained enough to use it. So earlier we said procedures. And then procedures not for the books, but familiar to the personnel. So from here you will go generally trained, and on the ship you will fine tune that into for that particular ship. With experience, when you have done 5, 6, 7 ships, then you would generally realize how it changes from ship to ship. And that is what experience and knowledge and ability to control emergencies without thinking or instinct or reflex action, all that comes with time and learning. And the last one has got to do with the human relations kind of thing. It is everywhere that the menial work, manual work will be passed on to the last man. And you must ensure that it is not done that way. It should be evenly divided. So everybody has got a role to play and everybody does his part. And that is what we are going to do in this session. So in this session, we will be looking at how to divide the ship staff into various roles. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay. So when we said procedures for fire, what kind of procedures are you looking at? What should be done in the event of fire in a cargo hold? Earlier I said it should be specific to your kind of ships. If your ship is used to carrying coal cargo, what kind of preparations you should have is for coal cargo fire. If you are carrying containers, if you are carrying chemicals, if you are an oil tanker, so that kind of fire. Fire in the engine room will be common for practically all ships. Fire in the accommodation, again, more or less common for all ships. Collapse of a person in a tank, fair amount of time. You may have to enter a tank. Okay, normally we don't go into areas which are not ventilated or not safe for entering. And that would be the advice once again. If it is not required, don't do it. If it has to be done, first make the area safe. Right? Ship breaking adrift from the berth, this weather that we are experiencing today, cyclones, sometimes in the Arabian Sea side and sometimes on the Bay of Bengal side. Ports, cyclone Totke passed over Pipavav port and broke a lot of things, and ships can break their ropes. That kind of an effect. Emergency release of a tanker. Can you think of any reason why the tanker has to be released, or you would want to release the tanker from the berth emergency? Yes, anyone, please make an attempt.
Sir, to avoid the coastal pollution.
To avoid the
Pollution may happen to the coast.
pollution.
Yes.
Pollution may be a side effect, yes, but why would you want to release the tanker from a berth in an emergency? Yes, somebody else, please make an attempt.
Any fire or result very huge impact.
Fire on? Yeah, you're on the right track. Can you just elaborate what you are wanting to say?
If there is any chance of fire in the breath, if the tanker is there, then it will be a very huge impact.
Yeah, okay, look at it this way. If suppose the tanker has got a fire, yeah, irrespective of what cargo, where, which tank, the terminal will not want you to stay alongside. The terminal is far more bigger and expensive than one tanker. There could be more ships on the terminal. So if one tanker is on fire, then it is a hazard for the other ships and the terminal. Okay? So the tanker will be released by the terminal itself. There are quick release hooks, ropes. The terminal will send you out. Pollution is a smaller hazard. The risk to the terminal, an explosion on the ship, the terminal exploding, many lives getting lost is much bigger. Can you understand this part?
Yes, sir.
And then consider the opposite. Suppose there is something wrong with the terminal, there is a fire on the terminal. So everybody on the terminal, local fire brigade will be wanting to extinguish the fire. But does it make sense for the ships to stay there and risk themselves?
No, sir.
No. So in
No, sir.
that case, you on the ship will do the same thing. Emergency release the ship and move away from the terminal. Cargo, we will come back for discharge or loading later on. Okay, operations are fine, but safety first. Right? So in either way, if the ship has already got a fire, then you put the terminal in danger. If the terminal has got a fire, then the ship becomes in danger. So you release the two. One ship on fire, pull that ship out with a tug and fight the fire on that ship. And once everything is under control, bring the ship back. Okay. So some of the things, you will be able to visualize only when you've been on a ship and you've been to a tanker terminal or inside the port and you see so many ships operating and working. So this is advanced discussions, advanced planning that will result in better and quicker decisions. So if you have already thought it over, hooray, there is a fire in the terminal, what should I do? I can't do anything because fire is on the terminal. No, release your ship and get out. Make yourself safe. Okay? Get your engines organized. Ask for a pilot, ask for a tug if you need to. Otherwise, if you can move on your own, just release the ropes and move away from the berth. Right? Any questions? So to be able to think on the spot, this is what you should be ready with. The information should be always at hand. Yeah? Today you will find it difficult to assimilate, but once you are already working on the ship, yeah, once you've joined the ship, you realize the general arrangement, it is displayed all over on the ship. Stability information is there with Chief Officer. Firefighting equipment plans available on the ship, posted everywhere. also available at the entrance on the gangway. So types of cargo, amount of cargo, where it is, and that will tell you what kind of risk the ship is at. Then it talks about hazardous substances. I'm sure all of you must have by now, since you have finished your theory syllabus, you must have heard about the IMDG code. Yes? No?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about the engineers?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it is the International Maritime Dangerous Goods Code. And every cargo that goes on the ship, every cargo is listed there. And what kind of hazards and what kind of precautions and what needs to be done is there, available to you. So in your training, you will be taught how to refer and how to see the dangerous goods code. And then on the ship, you refer to the book if you have to. And with experience, you can carry so many cargoes without even referring to the book. Okay. So now that we have covered the basics, basics means general part. What is an emergency? What kind of preparation you make? What knowledge you should have about the ship, about the arrangements on the ship, about the firefighting equipment, life-saving equipment, yeah, which are the safe areas, which are the unsafe areas. That part is known. So now what we are doing is dividing the manpower, which we know is somewhere between 20 and 24. So we have a command center. You can call it by any name, different names, but essentially the work will be the same. It will be the command center, the control point, the ship's bridge, where the captain, master, and some officers, one or two people will be there to guide, control, give information, get information. That is what will be done by this group. Then you have emergency parties. Again, under the charge of an officer. Right now you will be joining as cadets, but after your first certificate, you will be joining as an officer. You will be passing an exam, so you will be a certified officer. You will be able to lead the emergency parties. You will be able to lead the backup party and provide help. The engineers will be able to take better control when it is an engine room fire. And if it is not inside the engine room, then normally the chief officer takes charge and every operation, various officers, various means there are only two besides chief officer, second officer and third officer, and maybe one or two engineers available. Okay. So the normal complement on ships today would be chief engineer, second engineer, third engineer, fourth engineer. One junior engineer or one person in your category. Yeah. And that is where your training happens, one person on a ship. Same thing on the deck side. Captain, chief officer, second officer, third officer, and then one or two cadets. So that is like 10 people. Half the ship's crew is covered there. And then the balance crew is basically directed towards the passenger ships Cargo ships will really have extra people available. The passenger ships, where the crew strength is something like 100, 200 to 400, 500, depending upon the size of the passenger ship, cruise vessels. Where they carry 3,000, 4,000 passengers and they'll probably have 800 odd crew to manage that. Yeah, there will be hotel staff, bar staff, entertainers, ship's crew, a small part, security, all that is a much bigger organization. But we are basically discussing cargo ships. Okay, so we'll look through each one of this briefly so you understand what they will be doing. And in general, the division on the ship will be like this, and you will divide yourself so that everybody knows what is to be done and how to handle an emergency. Okay, any questions so far? Yes, please respond. Any questions?
No, sir.
No. Okay.
No, sir.
So, what is the command center on the bridge? One group which is in control, which is required to control the emergency. Obviously, the captain. Along with the captain, one officer. Different companies may have different routines. To some places, it is the third officer who's on the bridge, that is his duty, because master is there, junior most officer along with that, fine. And some companies might want the senior officer there in charge, or a second officer. Or some companies, whenever whoever watch is there, whoever is on watch, he is there with the master. So master and duty officer could be there. Okay. Minor changes might be there from company to company and ship to ship, but the command center is there. Then you will have one or two crew members, because the ship might be on hand steering, lookout, passing messages, and maybe you put the cadet there as an assistant to record everything that goes on as it happens. Messages received, messages passed, and events taking place. What time fire occurred, what time it was reported, muster station called, and the progress thereafter till it is controlled, closed, and everything back to normal. Because at the end of it, a report will have to be made, and that is what the report should cover. Right, so you have used 4, possibly 5 members in the command center. Command center should have means of internal and external communication. That means walkie-talkies, satellite phones, VHF, radio communication. One is getting the information from inside the ship and guiding the people inside the ship how to control the emergency. On the other side, telling the outside world that you have a problem on board, that you may require assistance, you may require help. If everything is fine, you may control that, cancel that. Your office will want to know if you are near a coast, near a port, you need to inform them also. All that becomes workload for the command center. Passing out information, basically communication inside and outside. Again, possibility of communication failing, so standby equipment. Emergency generator, emergency batteries, all that is available on the ship. Just in case main systems of communication fail, a backup is always there. And for bridge to the location of the fire or the location of emergency, you have walkie-talkie sets, you have public address system. Finally, everything fails, you still have give and take information, make records, and manage the ship safely. And this one is the command center. Even maybe the chief engineer could be on the bridge assisting the master in emergencies. Okay. So quite obviously, whether you are deck cadet or a GME engineer, as you reach the top positions, you will be controlling everything from there. Any questions? Is it interesting or boring?
Interesting, sir.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, it just makes you look forward to your responsible positions on the ship and being able to control, handle the ship and bring it out of all emergencies. Being prepared for that. Okay. Before you reach that control position, you will be passing through stage, being in charge of the emergency party and backup emergency party. Basically, they are same, but different people in two groups. While one is working, the other is a standby group, providing assistance and providing support. So we don't use all resources at the same time. We put all resources in action and then manage the emergency according to the required resource. Okay. So again, in charge is one officer who should assess the emergency and report to command center. And you can inform the command center what is your view on the action to be taken. Maybe the captain with his knowledge may or may not. But the action needs to be fast and well coordinated to be able to control the emergency. Then you have the backup party to assist the emergency party, providing backup services, getting additional equipment ready if required. Yeah, somebody is hurt, give him first aid. That is also part of your course. Okay. So even in the medical part, there are 3 levels of courses that you will be doing. First would be the elementary first aid, and then when you finish your exam, your certification level, you will do medical first aid, and finally the advanced level course as senior officers. Okay. So there is no doctor on board within the list of first you have chief officer and master. And even for master and chief officer, there is outside help available through radio communication. But cargo ships do not carry a doctor. Only passenger ships have doctors. Okay. So major part of your group is used up here. Emergency party, backup emergency party. Yeah, one group out of this possibly, if chief officer is the in charge, second officer would possibly be doing the job of getting life saving equipment like life raft and lifeboats ready with 1 or 2 people. Third officer will be with the master, cadet will be assisting somewhere. So all that people will be engaged. Okay. One engineer will be with the emergency party, one engineer possibly getting the lifeboat engines, yeah, stopping of pumps and other machinery, attending to closing of valves as per chief engineer's instructions. One will be in the engine room watch. So 3 or 4 people get used up in no time. And then for the wearing of breathing apparatus and getting inside, handling of the hose, yeah, handling the fire axe, handling the fire extinguisher, you will have 2, 3 people, 4 people maximum. Yeah. So again, emergency party and backup emergency party, practically the whole staff is consumed. You might have only 1 or 2 people still at hand, but that is good. Then you can decide what to give them and what to do. The engineering group, in case of an engine room fire, then the chief engineer will take a more significant role. All the engineers, they are spending a good 8 hours a day in the engine room. So therefore their familiarity with the engine room is much better. In the engine room. All that is better known to the engineers who spend their time there than the nautical officers, deck officers who spend their time on deck and bridge. So here the roles would be stopping of the main engine, stopping of ventilation, transfer pumps. If CO2 needs to be discharged, that is done specifically by the chief engineer only. Done by chief engineer only and only on the order of the master. Watertight doors, between the engine room, fire doors separating the steering compartment from the engine room. Yeah. So in case of all fires, we need to isolate, we need to divide the ship into fire safety zones, which by construction it is already divided. And some of these fire doors, in fact, all of them, which are under the requirements today, will have automatic systems. Moment fire alarm sounds, watertight doors will close. Okay. Same thing in the accommodation. Different decks, you have fire doors available, which so long as things are okay, they are open, all on sensors. And the moment you sound the fire alarm, they will all close. Idea is simple, to restrict the fire. Operation of essential services as emergency generator, switchboard, emergency fire, bilge pumps, all these emergency fire pump and emergency generator are outside the engine room. So now any doubt, you have the control group, you have the emergency parties, and you have the engineers. All people divided into various duties according to what is important on the ship. Any questions here?
No, sir.
Okay. And finally, the balance crew. If you still have more people, you can engage them definitely. You use the fire extinguishers, you need to fill them up again. You might require it again. There is not an unlimited supply of fire extinguishers, only basic what is required for the ship that is available. Yeah. Continuous talking and exchanging information, the walkie-talkie batteries will tend to run down. So every time a battery runs down, you change it with a charged battery and put the other one on charge. In case of abandoned ship, so we said one party was keeping the lifeboat and life raft ready. And in case you have to abandon the ship, then additional provisions, additional clothing, that needs to be arranged. We will be discussing these emergencies individually, one by one. Yeah. Tomorrow's session. Making rounds of the areas adjacent to the fire area, so to see that no other compartment is getting affected. Passengers to be guided, injured people to be taken care of, first aid to be rendered. So all these things are additional jobs. You will so that 20-24 people on the ship, if they are organized and everybody knows what is to be done. Mind you, as you rise through ranks from a trainee, third officer or fourth engineer, junior engineer, chief officer, master, chief engineer, you will be very quickly passing through all these phases. And you have to reach a stage of controlling the full operation as a master or chief engineer. I take it that you have understood the organization of the ship for handling any emergency, irrespective of what the emergency is. You will organize yourself so that you can control all emergencies. What does silence mean? No questions or not understood?
No questions, sir.
No questions. Okay, good. So now we start. Raise the alarm, inform the OD, officer on duty, which is whoever is on the bridge. Anybody finds out anything, somebody has fallen overboard or there is a fire, something is broken, you see a leakage, somebody has fallen down, somebody is injured, somebody is trapped in a tank, any kind of serious situation, inform the officer on duty and he decides whether whatever has been reported merits an emergency organization, which means alert the whole ship, or just tell the captain and chief engineer or some limited people and control the emergency. Okay. But since we are discussing emergencies, for your level, when these kind of questions are put, simple answer is inform the OOD and OOD in turn will raise the alarm. Emergency organization will be alerted. That means everybody will be required to go to their respective muster stations. And the day you join your first ship, first thing you will be told is about your muster station. Okay, you will be signing a familiarization form and you will be knowing where is your life jacket, which boat you have to go. And in case of an emergency, you might join at 7, 8 in the evening and suddenly 12:30 midnight you hear the alarm. Something has happened. So one part of your preparation and learning is now pre-sea, before you join the ship. And immediately on joining, these basics will be covered. And then you will start learning the rest of the things. So everybody report to their muster station, suitably dressed and equipped. Okay. So you may not have time to come back again depending upon the emergency. We don't worry about belongings. We just worry about ourselves. Suitably dressed means covered fully, safety shoes, helmet, life jacket. The minimum that you have available there with you all the time. Once you reach the muster station, depending upon the emergency, either you will be called upon action immediately, or after some time the emergency situation will be reduced, come under control. But the first action is always the same. And that is where your practice will be. All your drills will start that way. That as soon as the fire alarm or general alarm is sounded, you will go to your muster station. And then after that, on a weekly basis, monthly basis, depending upon the drill plan of the ship, you will be doing various drills. Every month you will have so many drills on the ship so that you become familiar. Okay. Now any questions?
question, sir.
Okay, so this will be our last slide for this presentation, this talk, and we will start from here again. Tomorrow's class, where today we have taken up the organization, dividing the ship staff, control center, emergency party, engineering group, backup party, yeah, and keeping the ship's equipment ready, knowing the general arrangement and the general situation on a ship, so that whenever an emergency occurs, you will be prepared for it and you will all have a uniform action. Hereafter, we will be discussing some common emergencies, individual ones, to understand how they can occur and what should be the course of action. We talked about having procedures. Yes, all ships have those procedures, basic minimum procedures for known emergencies. This can happen. This should be the action. Okay. If there are no questions, then we will stop here for the day.
So.
Okay.